Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Deeply Renegade podcast. My name is Molly, also known as the Deeply Renegade, and I'd like to welcome you guys to episode 315. Today is Saturday, May 2nd, 2020, and I'm glad you could join me today. I'm laughing a little bit because it's just this side of my face is in shadow. But this room is not the Shadow Kingdom of Darkness, so oh well, such is life. So a little bit of chaos around. Made some good progress on emptying some boxes today, so that was good. But it didn't seem like it mattered either way which day I decided to record, because I wasn't going to change much. And I thought it would be fun to show some stuff, which it's possible that I will, or would it be, I won't be able to show you if I use it. So, not too crazy. I think to start off I'm going to do finished objects, because I've got some, which is not too crazy. So, I ended up just putting some dedicated work into these fingerless gloves, and so that has resulted in me having finished fingerless gloves. So this is the Maritz pattern, which is a Stephanie van der Linden design that I have adapted into fingerless mitts. I knit these with fiber optic cashmere in the Morticia and Kentucky Blue colorways. And then I used elements of the Nani gloves in order to make the fingers. So I even wove in all the ends. We are good to go. All of the awkward thumb holes, everything. So my husband's actually keeps these at his desk now. I did invite him to talk about them, but he didn't want to. He was uninterested. Oh well. I can't make someone do something they don't want to do. So that's what we've got going on. They're a little bit big on me, but they fit his hands just fine. For example, this gusset area here is way too deep for my little hands, but not too crazy. So we have the fun fingers. I have a little 1x1 for the gusset. Hold still long enough so you can see. Whatever. So these are tessellated lizards based on the pattern of MC Escher, a Maritz something Escher. I don't know. What's the C for? Who knows? And these are the only thing that my husband has asked for in 2 or 3 years. So, as a result, he finally got them. I bought black and red yarn initially, but then he informed me that he wanted blue. So I think sometime in November I bought the blue. And finally got them on. So in terms of obligation knits that are just sort of floating loosely around, I think there is one more, and I'll have to probably poke the person about whether or not they even remember, because if they don't remember, I'm not doing it. As you. But the Dirty Lovable one reminded me all the time about these, so. So, he was noting that it was pilling, and this yarn is a super luxurious merino cashmere silk base. So cashmere is gonna pill, but ooh, does it feel good. So, and I knit these on 00 needles in order to make I was forced, because it's a 25 stitch repeat, I have 3 pattern repeats on these. So there was just no way that I was going to be able to knit with normal needles and have these fit. So I had to adjust my gauge to get it to work. But lovely. So I have a decent amount of leftovers. I still need to sort of weigh and quantify these bad boys. Oh, a little bit of fluff that escaped, but we'll make it work. I got crap on it already. Lovely. Whatever. They will be well loved. I have a picture on Instagram of him wearing it, and he looks very, very pleased. I also have a very terrible picture on Instagram where navy blue looked brown and deeply confused some people. So, not my best photography work with my iPhone. But I had concluded that if I was going to be able to start my sweater, I needed to get those off. And so, what was it? I was watching, today I was watching the Suburban Stitcher podcast. I haven't committed to subscribe, but I do watch her episodes. I've also not, like, committed to watching the entire thing from the beginning. What would be? And Diane's, like, someone that I've met in real life, or what would it be? Like DFW Fiberfest. It's the best yarn festival in Texas. You run into all of the Texas peeps there. So she is, or what would it be? It's very interesting to watch because there's very much so like a Texas aesthetic. And then what would it be? She has a very different color sense than I do, so it's very interesting seeing what's inspiring her and what she thinks cool and all of that fun stuff. So, but she was talking about like what she needed, and I'm totally on board with her, 100%. Like my boring project, my like I don't want to think project is brioche lace. And what am I doing otherwise? Color work, complicated charts, mad scientist nonsense. So I'm with her. Like, I need my knitting to be so engaging it takes my mind off the nonsense. So I don't know how you guys feel, but that's where I am right now. So let's see. I will show this one first. Unfortunately, this had like a boo-boo, so I went out and about in the world and I hadn't finished a row and the needle pulled out, and it was right before one of the nastiest row in the pattern, which happens, however, many times, but it was the nastiest row in the pattern and I needed to find a way to rescue it. And so I've gotten to the point where I've finished that row. So I have my purple yarn down here, and then I have my variegated on the other side, so I'm getting ready to do the second pass in the background color. So this is Sizzle Pop, a Leslie Ann Robinson pattern. She is also known as Knit Graffiti. I'm knitting this out of Smutsvilla yarns and the excellent lace. Excellent! And let me just pull out the tags because they don't. The purple is One Can Never Have Enough Socks. Oh good, that's all pointing in the right direction. And then the other one is You're Never Gonna Keep Me Down. So, enjoying working with it. It is a loosely plied, pretty fine lace. Like I think it's 930 yards per 100 grams. And we'll just be amused by this metric imperial mashup that we use in knitting. So here is the purple side, and I would say the purple is definitely on like the aubergine spectrum. It's definitely sort of eggplant, maybe a little bit cooler than eggplant. So it's not, it doesn't seem, the colors don't quite seem right now. Maybe I need to actually pull my lights out. Who knows? And then this is fairly true to form. with hot pink and electric purple splotches that give me life and happiness. I don't think I would want the whole thing to be that way, but I really appreciate that it's in this. And it's coming out as this gorgeous, super clear pattern with the dark background. So very happy with that project. It hasn't gotten a ton of love this week for reasons. First off, because I really wanted to finish those bits, and second off, I started another project. So here is my little progress keeper, and I have done hardly any rows. So I will increment the progress. So we're talking 5. Not a lot of love this week. I think it might be 10 or 11 repeats at this point. In terms of length, like, not to wingspan yet, but certainly getting closer. Getting closer all the time, so not too crazy. But what would it be? It has turned out that I now have an even, well, in some ways, an even simpler project to work on. So I have started my Mesa sweater wrap. It is a Romy Hill design, and Romy is actually originally from, oh wait, it's over here. Romy is actually originally from California, or from San Francisco, which is pretty cool. I follow her on Instagram. She has a very gorgeous feed. It's like, it's the danger of sitting on a random twin mattress on the floor. Yeah, oh well. And so this is the whole length of the thing, obviously slightly squished upon needles, but not too crazy. Last I checked, or what would it be? Last time I checked, I was actually spot on for gauge, even though I am using significantly smaller needles, but lace. So I am working the lace portion of the sweater, and that's actually fairly short. So I am in the second repeat of the chart, and I don't think I've ever done garter lace before. It is different and sort of magical. Because all of my decreases are left-leaning decreases, and somehow I'm able to, because of this, actually place things in sort of an odd sequence that results in this cool little diamond thing going on here. There we go, blank wall. So I'm stretching out a little bit so you guys can actually see. But maybe I should bring it in real close so you can see the colors. I don't know whether or not this will come out right. It's a very strange color. So this is purple, purple, blue. And there's a little bit of drama now. So, posted on Instagram 3 different options for colors. Overwhelming majority going for highest, or for this, what I'd call option C, which is, what would it be? Fairly high contrast. And what I've ended up doing is sort of putting my mostly purple ones on the perimeter of it, and then having like a blue on blue and a teal on teal or something, or actually teal on teal, blue on blue. So sort of clustering like that. I don't know. It seems silly to pull up a picture, maybe. Nope. Google is reminding me of things I have done in the past. So, this is the option C. I've wound on my balls. So, what I have sort of on the bottom right here is purple, purple, blue, and then I have purple, 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 teal on the end. Maybe this wasn't the best choice because those are the regions where the most of it being plain is. And the way this ends up working is that you're actually, for most of the knit, fading. So this ends up giving a decent amount of contrast without being totally bonko, and then ends up sort of putting a lot of emphasis on those teal and blue colors that I love, like the purple. Well, it wasn't perfect in my eyes, but it is so cool to see this knit fabric. So I was like showing it on a video chat on Wednesday, and it was like, is it blue? Is it purple? Is it teal? Like, and this was somewhat by design. I was trying to make a complicated color when I dyed the yarn the way I did and combined it the way I did and spun it the way I did. And so this is knitting up as a fairly complicated color, but it's hard to show, especially on this purple one, because as we know, the purple breaks my webcam and there's no hope. So I think this ends up giving off the darkness correctly, but what would it be? It'd be the case. And I think the other thing that maybe made me a little bit less enthused about the purple was that I added teal to it, and that made it like super dirty. Like, it maybe would have been a little bit better if I had sort of, or what would it be? I think it probably would have made my heart sing a little bit more if it was the case where I had maybe added something that was more like just straight up blue or violet, but I hadn't quite figured out the dark colors as I was sort of going through this dyeing process of figuring out how to change the color of the fleece to do my thing. Whatever, such is life. I'm accepting it for what it is. And what would it be? Even though maybe I can't quite show to you guys how complicated and rich this color is, let us hope for the day when we meet in person and I can show you, because that's how I feel about sort of this project. Is it's a little hard to podcast. So right now, because of the pattern, because decreases end up falling pretty much everywhere, I just have my markers for sort of separating out the shoulders from the fronts. Attached to it, but at some point I'll get back into the swing of things. So option C is sort of more on the contrast end. I could fix the lighting. Wouldn't that be amazing? And then what I have is option B. So option A was mixing it up a little bit more, but I've concluded that I did not want that. So this is the option A gradient, which means that I would have to rip stuff out because the color I'm working with right now is there. And in some ways this ends up maybe looking a little dull on the camera screen. I don't know, whatever. Like, it's very interesting to contrast what you're seeing on a screen versus how you feel in real life and that sort of thing. And so everyone on Instagram's all in for the contrast, and then I end up showing the pattern and option B and option C to my Thursday night knit group, the Berkeley Knitters, or the Black Squirrel Knitters. They are wonderful and lovely, and I would have long conversations one-on-one with all of them. Super amazing. Ooh, picking up fluff. Who knows where I'm picking up fluff from? So they were like, oh my gosh, you need to do this in the ordered gradient. It was like, you created this gradient in spinning. Why would you not imprint it upon the sweater? So now it's like, they were unanimous. No one thought otherwise, so. Now it is a dilemma. Not one that I have to decide at the moment. Like, it is possible that I could simply do a different sequence. That is always a possibility. And this bag is not quite the right size for all of the stuff in here. But, like, this one looks as beautiful on the camera as it is in real life. It's like, ooh, so gorgeous. Get it in profile to soak up as much of the sun as possible. So, I don't know what I want to do. Because, so if I was going for sort of that circular gradient sort of dealio, the next one would be purple. So, I don't know. But basically you would be alternating, so you would always have, interesting dilemma. So I can see both ways. What would it be? I know that Jose feels strongly about how these look better when it is not light to dark, and though this one wouldn't necessarily be this one wouldn't necessarily be why did the word stop in? So, like, because all the tones are actually fairly similar, it may be the case where it wouldn't really matter. And then the other thing is that it's totally reversible, so there's that too. Now, one thing that I hadn't so got the pattern, working the pattern, that sort of thing. One thing that I hadn't realized was that it's not, so you have your rectangle, and it's not slits this way for the sleeves. You have your rectangle and the slits are this way, and I'm knitting it like that. So you actually do need to break yarn, which like cuts me a little bit. Because that would be I don't know, I guess it's not terrible, but it is snipping the hand stone. So basically they whatever, Romy instructs you to split out what would be that whatever you have left when you begin the sleeves, have like a quarter for each of the fronts and then half for the back. So it's like I don't know how I feel about that, but I'm not, like, I'm trying to think about whether or not I can get away with doing slits this way instead of that way. But there are also increases as well. They're fairly subtle, but there is some shaping to bring it out and then back in again, because it's effectively laying across you like, I don't know, in some ways it's sort of poncho-y in that regard, like open front poncho sort of thing. So I don't know. I was surprised. So I did a gauge swatch with this yarn to just sort of get a sense for what I wanted to do. So I dropped needle sizes quite a bit, knit for a while, measured my gauge in many different places because there's stockinette and garter in it. And then I ended up getting gauged with the US 3 needles. Whatever. My 2.5, my 3mm needles are in the brioche project right now, so I wasn't going to use those. And like I'm fine with this fabric. So I'm just going with the pattern as written for this and calling it good. I don't know whether or not my row gauge is significantly different. The way this pattern is written is knit until you run out of yarn. So in that regard, it's not too crazy. But in the other regard, like the sleeve placement means that I'm going to be in the middle of the ball of yarn instead of at the edge of the ball of yarn. So, whatever. I'm going to have to like think for a bit about how I want to make that work. And whether that color is going to be, I'm guessing at this point that color is going to end up being teal, so that is the one that or whatever. The teal and the purple are the biggest ones because my blue was a little short, so all of my blue schemes are a little small. But I don't know, it's just fascinating to look at this fabric. In that regard, I have achieved my vision for this project. So it's just, what would it be? Like, because there's a lot of different influences coming together. I don't think I would have known about this pattern if it wasn't for Leslie of the Knit Girls. I wouldn't have dyed the fiber the way I did if it wasn't for Rebecca from Chemknits. And then I wouldn't have plied the yarn the way I did if it wasn't for Judith Mackenzie, because she is a genius. And I wouldn't have combined the dyes in the way that I did if it hadn't been for Judith, because she's a genius. So this is all just sort of coming together for all these different sources of excitement and inspiration. And like, I wouldn't have found the fleece if it wasn't for my friend Jody, so what would it be? It's just like, I stand upon the shoulders of giants. So this got a lot of love, and then I think I chilled out a little bit. I think I had to fix that brioche thing, and I just needed to power through that. So that's where I am. I think I like wound the yarn on Monday because I don't know, Mondays have been bad. Just every Monday's bad. Just accept bad. But then I just have this lovely tote full of gorgeous yarns you can't see in the tote. It's like if I pointed towards the, nope, it's okay. So at some point I'll have to decide, but I don't quite have to decide yet. I have, after I finish the chart, I have another bit of garter block, which I don't know how crazy I'm going to be, because I think what I want to do is sort of get to the halfway point in terms of weight, and my scale is in here, and there isn't a good place to sit in here right now, aside from whatever, where I am. Yeah. So I'm certainly getting close to the point where I'm halfway, so I think this is one of my 50-gram balls, and I'm like at 29 right now. So it may be the case where I need to maybe abbreviate the lace a little bit. I'm not sure what I want to do exactly. Or if it's just the case where I know that I should start alternating, or I know that I should start alternating balls once I'm at that halfway point, because the pattern is designed to sort of get you there, and then you do that for the rest of the way, and then you wrap up after you run out of your other color of alternating. So what would it be? In some ways it's very modular, in other ones I haven't quite thought through the details yet, but I can procrastinate a little bit about the details. So I'm inclined to believe that whatever my center color is, that's going to end up being, it's going to be 3 balls of yarn that have to be cut in order to make that, because that center one's going to span the arm whole region. Maybe I need to figure out what micro gauge is. Who knows? So that is the Mesa sweater wrap. So far, so good. Super charmed. What would it be? Yeah, no, I probably will just end up doing the full leaves repeat and just deal with whatever happens, because interestingly enough, this is actually pretty friendly for the this is pretty friendly for my sort of ambiguous ball sizes. Oh. So, and then what would it be? Right now I'm using smaller needles than or whatever. They have you sort of switch needle sizes in it. So right now I'm on the smaller size, so that's been interesting. But soon I will be on the intended one, and that will be good. So there is that. And like that's gonna soak up an awful lot of knitting right now. So as you do. So I can't recall how much I've done on this project, but this is my spindle project. It's also a part of the Spin the Bin. Get things somewhat separated. So this is a Fun Onion Bat. It is based upon the sea. The colorway is Lemur. And this year for Tour de Fleece, we are going for, or the theme is going to end up being, I'm spinning your nationality. In the past, it's always been France. So now I'm like plotting this like crazy tulip spin to knit a Jen Steinglass pattern. As you do. Who knows? She was having a sale, and I did end up buying Hinterland because it's fingering weight. I love fingering weight yokes. And now I'm imagining turning this fiber into something that makes it look like tulips, and it's making my heart happy. The tulips have come and gone already in San Francisco, but they are coming other places in the world, so I'm glad that I have Instagram to see other people's tulips. Not too crazy. So, might have been some work. Like, it's definitely the case where I think that needs to be sort of a palette cleanser spinning project where I just, when I don't have anything on my wheel, getting a good burn on it so that I can then go back, just because it was my travel project and I'm not traveling, and so there needs to be some time when I work on it in order to finish it to do that. So, not too crazy. Let me look something up quick. This involves going to Instagram because that is where I store my brain sometimes. So, I did wash and thwack this. This is 65 yards, 20 grams. And I actually do like this a lot more after washing, so I'm not sure what changed exactly, but not too crazy. So this is the Two Guys Yarn Company. This is the leftover skein, so this is all roving prep woolen draft. And then I have this big boy, excuse me, which is 644 yards. Oh, we have needles sticking from that. Need to put these needles away. So this is 644 grams, or sorry, 644.5 yards, 20 or 208.68 grams. And so it is a combination of worsted short forward draw with a bat and the woolen from the roving or carded slaver or whatever. So not too bad. So this means that we are, it's like I spun this on my bulky flyer, and so if I'm, so this has come in like 320-ish, so 2-ply sport. Like, maybe like a heavy sport, but sport. So, whatever, such is life. I don't know, I'm not entirely sure what I was aiming for with this. This was a spin with no purpose. So, what was it? It's a little bit funny because these are actually my Dear Sweet Lovable Ones high school colors. I'm like, would you like anything with this? And we couldn't figure something out. So, but that was a part of the Spin the Bin. So, update on that project. And then what I ended up doing last Sunday was I did a Instagram Live about drum carding, and I had a lot of fun doing that. Thanks for everyone who attended. Whether or not we have like cross-pollination between the knitting podcast and Instagram, it's hard to tell sometimes. I'm pretty sure I have more Instagram followers than I do subscribers, so whatever. But it was a lot of fun to do. So it was a case where I ended up getting a request to sort of show my process and how I was going about doing things. And then, I don't know, it was, so it's probably about like, whatever, an hour and a half of stuff. It's on my Instagram. You can still access it because I posted it to Instagram TV. And it was a blast, so I had a good time. I ended up making 2 bets during the video, and then I did one off screen, and then I took photos of it as I was going. And I have finished the first bat, so that's why I needed a podcast now, because I wanted to spin the next bat, but I wanted to show you the bats. So this is the purple one, though you wouldn't imagine if there was like just way more pink, and then we would be closer to reality. I don't know why pink's not catching. Whatever. But imagine that this was pink. Much more pink. Like, is that... whatever. It's much more pink in real life. So, I think I showed the bats I made last time. So, I had the Spotted Circus, it's Alpaca Star Bright roving. It was dyed in a fairly repeating way. I split it into component colors, weighed it out pretty carefully. Didn't weigh this out carefully, but whatever. Weighed it out carefully and then made bats on my drum carder. Then someone had asked about a video to show the process. I'm like, what do I want to do? And I was a little disappointed with how the teal had turned out. So the blue had a lot of the purple and the teal in it because it was sort of the collision color. It wasn't necessarily, it did seem like it was on purpose, but it was definitely the least amount of the components of the fiber. So my blue bat had a lot more of the other colors in it, and I loved how that turned out. So what I ended up doing is I took those solid bats, I split them into eighths, and then I took 1/8 of the teal and 1/8 of the blue and put it with my purple. And then I took 1/8 of my purple and 1/8 of my blue and put it with the teal. And then I took 1/8 of the blue and 1/8 of the purple, or whatever, 1/8 of the teal and 1/8 of the purple, and put it in with my blue. There we go, something like that. So I sort of dirtied the colors up a bit, but like in a gorgeous, gentle way. So I lined them all up in front of my drum carder and just sort of interspersed the main color, and then I had the two other shades in there. And so then I was just pulling off sort of random bits in an order so that I sort of had an equal amount throughout the whole bat. And I would either put 3 tufts on or 2 tufts on, so I just alternated there, and that sort of changed what part of the bat was getting the dirty color. So for this one, the dirty colors were blue and teal, and so then the blue would end up moving around between center, left, and right as I was going, and the teal was moving around between center, left, and right, and there was always generally some layer of solid purple that was going on in between. So it was fun. And so this has resulted in a very rich, fun bat. So overwhelmingly purple, but then there are definitely sections where I just ran into a bunch of the blue or the teal, and you can maybe see that here. If I bring it really close, can you tell? It just looks blue, doesn't it? Like, this is pink. I swear. The primary color I see when I see this is pink. I don't know. This makes me wonder. Like, this is driving me like a little bit crazy. Oh. Yeah, no, it's not. See, I took a picture of it right now. I took a picture of it right now to be like, it's pink, but you can't see because the webcam does not acknowledge this color. Whatever. I will finish writing a caption for that later. Oh, there's still coffee. This is exciting. So, maybe that wasn't the best example. Oh well. So what I'm seeing right now with this 1.33 ounces of fiber is primarily a pinkish purple with shots of blue and teal in it. So I'm really excited to spin the other bats so I can see this too. So the blue was already mostly like this when I did it. So you can maybe see some of the pink in there, surrounded in a sea of blue. Maybe not as much as what there is in reality, but so what has happened here is that there is some more pinks and teals in this blue bat, which I was happy with, but I also managed to get some pinks and blues into this teal bat because it was sort of solid and a little bit dull. So there was a decent amount of white in the teal because there were some undyed sections, but this has resulted in a more complicated color, which makes me happy. Going off of that Judith Mackenzie, you just add a little bit of something and it makes it more interesting to look at if it is composed of more things. So And then I just sort of spun the bat hole. I didn't do anything special. Like, I just started in a corner and sort of was like circling around the bat, around diagonally. I was primarily doing a short forward draw as I like, but then just sort of accepted whatever lumpy bumpies came in there as well. And I'm thinking of just applying it on itself. But I won't be finishing it because the stash thread has been put up. So, stash starts in 20 days. Obviously I finished these gloves, but I wasn't gonna just let that linger, to be quite frank. I need to finish the gloves, so. Like, I won't be finishing anything until after that day. So I'm going to be filling up my bobbins. Maybe with this, what will end up happening is I will take it off the bobbin. Or probably what's going to end up happening is I'm going to end up taking it off and just spinning away. So perhaps this will be bad for me working on sweaters, but that's what meetings are for right now. So, but I'm gonna finish these alpaca bats. I think I'm just gonna have 3 mini skeins at the end, and I have no clue what I'm gonna do with the yarn, but it's fun. Like, what, I made this Sunday. I didn't start, I think I was showing the bats on Wednesday. I don't know if I spun it all. I might have started this Friday night, so between last night and today, so did all of this. Baked muffins too. As you do. So, and then this is just some of the fluff that I had taken off, so I should have placed some lumpy bumpies in there for sure. I'm not sure whether or not I'm just gonna spin it in. It's not like it really matters. So I did have some mail come this week, which was exciting. Speaking of Judith Mackenzie and dye, I ended up picking up 4 different colors of her Mother Mackenzie's Miracle Dye Powder. And so what's cool about this is so one part of this is that it is based on the CMY color scale. So not too bad. So I've never, and what I ended up getting was cyan, magenta, yellow, and then black. So the hope would be that I can make whatever color I want with these 4. I was going to buy dye specifically for this Romney project that I'm thinking of. I don't know if I've talked about this on the podcast, but what I wanted to do was to make, something that looked like a sunny, beautiful day. So 1/3 blue, 1/3 natural, 1/6 yellow, 1/6 orange, and blend it into a bat to spin, because that was basically the primary reason why I got the drum carder in the first place. Was I did not want to comb another fleece. Like, don't get me wrong, the results are gorgeous. But at least for that initial step, I just wanted to be able to do bats, and once I make bats, then I can decide to do something else with it. If I want to, like, I could comb bats, whatever. But that sort of getting a fleece to that point, because what would it be? I just find the drum carder to be fascinating because there's so many different things you can do with it. So, like, one of them is just like getting locks into an easily spinnable form, but then there is this being able to separate colors, which is what I did on this project, and then to be able to average, then to be able to mix colors, and then maybe even going a bit further to average colors together and make something very complicated. And then there's the whole like spatial thing that you can end up doing with it as well. So what would it be? In this case, I was going for light blending, so mixed but distinct, sort of like an oil and water sort of blending. It was like you're not going to be able to pull them out, but you do still see what it was originally. So just filled. I don't know if this is the case where I must be doing boring things at work right now because my like creative backlash is very strong. So this pamphlet tells you lots and lots of things that you want to know about it, and then they also have sort of a color card thing about all the different things. So when I originally went to get the dye, I wanted to get just those colors. So they actually do sell an orange, a blue, yellow, and then I was going to get black because I realized for the rich colors I want, I do need some black to get there. It was like, pastels are easy, use less dye. But there reaches a point where at full saturation you still don't get the darkness, and like I'm all for the darkness. Like this blue is probably a little light for me, but it's blue, so I'm fairly positive about it. Whereas like this blue here is probably your sort of your full depth of whatever, your very strong depth of shade, but you can't, like, I like the darkness too. I paired it with black because what would it be? The darkness is necessary. So that was one of the cool things I get in the mail. So there's only one place that sells Judith's dye, so she doesn't directly sell it. So the Fiber Addict is where you can get that online. And it was the case where, like she said she was going to send me samples, but whatever, I just bought some. So, and it was very interesting, like the directions, for example, what would it be? But the primary thing that I think got me sold on it was just that, unlike other commercial acid dyes, like there aren't heavy metals in these ones. And so if you hear about indie dyers who have to get out because they've become allergic to the dyes, like heavy metals are bad stuff. So while it is recommended that you do have separate things, all of the Judith Mackenzie dyes are generally regarded as safe grass. So that's sort of what got me on it, though. Like I was originally thinking it was going to be otherwise, but I do have a dedicated dye pot at this point, so whatever. But it was, so it'll be interesting to turn that into stock solution. It actually has an interesting procedure for you to turn it into stock solution. So, and then the nice thing is that it keeps. So I'll have to figure out what containers I want to dedicate to that, or if I need to containers to dedicate to that. Whatever. But then it was also funny because it also talks about like how many pounds of fiber can you do with that. So what is it? So 20 grams of dye will dye 4.4 pounds of fiber. And I have 4 times that, so I'm going to be pretty well set on dye for quite some time. And then I'm also going to have the fun of learning how to use primaries to create shades, because I'm going to have to combine colors in order to, or would it be, I'm going to have to pull up like one of those little color wheels and then figure out how I'm going to create the blue I want. So there's going to be some mad scientist dye formulation fun. Yeah. So this episode's super long. I also had some other stuff come in the mail, which is exciting. And this is also related to the tulips as well. So I got, I got some gorgeous blue fiber from Three Waters Farm. So this, so the Completely Twisted and Arbitrary group decided to do a surprise spin along, and I concluded that I wanted to spin for Hinterland. So I got 3 4-ounce bumps of this blue for the main color, which is the background blue, and this is a coordinating color for the other one. So I think it's called something about grapes. Well, cluster of grapes, there we go. So this is the background blue that was on the inspiration photo. But I got this one, which is Lakeside Forest, and I got this in Pulverized Silk. So 85-15 Pulverized Silk should be super duper nice. Like I can just, the luster. So this is the project that I'm gonna spin for the spin along. And yeah, I'm excited about it. It's very gorgeous. So it's challenging me a little bit, or would it be? I found the gray to be interesting and decided that that would make some really cool things. So I'm thinking of sitting down and breaking this up into random lengths, and probably breaking it into thirds and doing like a 3-ply barber pole nonsense random. So oftentimes when I want like super barber pole, or if I definitely want something barber pole, I would do like a fractal spin. But in this case, I just want it to be sort of random and whatever. As random as I can muster as an engineer. So I'm gonna try to find a way to break this up and what would it be? And make it so that it is combining all of these colors together. So we have like a forest green, a lime green, a teal, and then this silver, and then sort of you have like a bright turquoise and a dark turquoise in there as well. And then there's also, I guess, like a light silver and a dark silver as well. So like I saw it and knew that it needed to be made, so whatever. I feel like I've been very productive spinning wise. Yes, it did take me 6 months to spin for that sweater. But then I spun 8 ounces in a week, so all of this 4 ounces done really quick as well too. So that sort of indicates to me is like, you know what? I like go do whatever. No big deal. So, and then this background blue just has like, it has the darkness in it. So some of this is sort of bright and vivid, but there's also this darkness that I find to be very effective. As you do. So with that, I am assuming that I will do like a 3-ply. Call it good. No big deal. So, I don't know if after an hour it's gonna cut me off. I guess I'll see in like 2 seconds. it cut me off. And whatever. So that's going to be exciting. I'm not 100% sure when I'm going to start, but I'm going to do this guy first. Oh, this is thin. So, for some reason I was thinking I had Falkland, whatever. And then somewhere in my stash, which is unfortunately still in cardboard boxes, is the nest that I was thinking of pairing with it. So that has like reds and oranges, and I think natural as well. So I'm going to make something probably like Spin Cycle with it. Like, I don't need to buy Spin Cycle. I can make it with my hands. So that's where my brain is right now. What would it be? Somewhere between like mad scientist and needing to be distracted, but as you do. It would be my dad was texting me, so maybe I should respond. So the coffee's all gone. Oh no, the coffee's not gone. The coffee's cold. Sorry, I'm just like a little slap happy today. I don't know why. Whatever. So I keep surprising myself. I keep thinking it's gone. Oh well. So with that, I hope you guys have a lovely week, and I look forward to talking to you soon. So take care, guys. Bye bye.